Tony D. Shit. What a need. Cornbread.
Welcome to the Sex, Travel, Sports, Food Podcast with your host, Cousin Cornbread on ANDS Radio. That's ain't no damn station radio. We're delivering this straight to your earphones, your car speakers, and sound bars on that Wi-Fi, hotspots, Ethernet, T1 lines, shared data plans, or however you get on the internet. And we about to go ahead and get this commentary in and solve life's problems. Y'all ready? Set, go. Yeah, cornbread. Hey, what's up, man? Y'all welcome to Sex, Travel, Sports, Food with your favorite cousin, Cornbread. And we back for episode number 13, man. And this show is going to switch it up on y'all a little bit because I got y'all favorite cousins, play sister, Neena Boo.
Hey.
In the building. You know what I'm saying? She done came over here and crashed my
That's
podcast.
What we do. That's what we do.
She gonna hit me up like she do always. Last minute, no plan.
Pisces,
Yeah,
free
Pisces
spirit.
fish just swimming in the ocean wherever the undercurrent takes her. And so she done crashed this junk. She wanted to come on here and make me depressed today.
Nah,
Talking
man.
about stuff. You know, she came over here. As soon as she walked in, she was judging my muffins that I had sitting on the counter. Talking about I got diabetes and my foot gonna fall off. That's what she do. Every time I eat something that's delicious or great to eat, because it usually has sugar in it. Now she talking about she always goes to this
I'm just
foot
trying
thing.
to look out for you, man.
But what's up with the foot? How come you always talk about it's gonna make my foot fall off? That's what I want to know.
Because I know people with missing feet, and I can't roll like that.
Because of diabetes.
Yes.
And I feel bad about having diabetes, but I think it's a stigma related to it because some diabetes you just get that shit hereditary.
Okay,
you know what I'm
but
saying?
all the muffins help.
But I know.
Okay, so.
But look, shit.
I'm
Somebody
just
need to
maybe
make.
just have half a muffin. You got like 4 sitting up there.
That's because that's how they sell it. I
Okay.
don't eat 4 at a time.
Well, I don't know.
Man, look. But anyway, so Miss Gina, that's her school name. All her kids down in the trap at her old school, they ain't know how to say Miss Neena, or they ain't know what her name was.
No, the teacher didn't know how to say
Oh, it was
Neena.
the teacher?
Yeah, it wasn't the kids.
Oh, I thought it was a kid.
No, that was the art teacher.
Oh, so her name is Neena.
True, Neena Boo in the building.
Neena Boo in the building. But they called her Miss Gina. Did they put Miss Gina on your check?
Nah, they got my check right.
Well, anyway, Miss Neena, hold on. Actually, tell them what your background is, because she's actually here to discuss very important information. Lately in the news, we got a whole bunch of stories of mental health breakdowns turning into suicide. And it's very important. It's prevalent throughout the world, but especially in the black community, it's kind of under... What's the word? I don't know. Not under highlighted. That's not a real term in the real world.
No, that's not.
What's the word? It's not giving any.
Under discussed, maybe?
Okay, we're gonna go with that.
Okay.
So we're gonna talk about that a little bit because black mental health matters.
Yes, it does.
And but recently in the news we had Kate Spade,
Anthony Bourdain.
And then you mentioned earlier the
Anniversary of Khalif Browder's death, the 3-year anniversary.
Right, and he committed suicide too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so give the people a little bit of your background and we're going to go from there.
Okay, so besides being a podcast crasher, I am a clinical therapist, and a lot of my clients do deal with depression and anxiety and have had suicidal ideations and things of that nature. So yeah, I thought it was important to discuss. It is in the news. It does impact all of us, whether we're talking about, it doesn't matter your socioeconomic background, your race, religion, none of those things. Depression impacts all of us. So it's something that is important to talk about. So that's why I'm here. Oh, and eat your cheese and drink all your wine.
Right. So you're going to come in here talking about, you got wine, you got cheese. Because the original topics for today that I had planned in my own head were going to be to discuss wine. Like I teased on the last show. If y'all listened to episode 12, I said on the next show, I'm going to be discussing wine and wine varietals. And we'll get to that a little bit later, because that was also tied to the previous week when I hosted the wine and comedy show down at the harbor. Neena was there too, but
Good time.
yeah, good times. And so I was trying to roll that in, but we'll talk about that a little bit later, because after the discussion, I will need wine and probably some cheese, even though she ate up all my cheese already.
Didn't eat all your cheese because you didn't have the right kind of cheese.
Because I wasn't expecting. First of all, I'm not hosting a wine and cheese podcast or event at my house right now, so I'm not. I wasn't prepared.
You're black. When people say they're coming over, you're supposed to have a situation popping for them.
No, man. First of all, so I ain't even invite you over. So I definitely ain't gonna be.
I'm family. I don't need no invitation personally.
And that's why exactly. So that's why you supposed to pull up with your own grocery bag. You better go to food line.
Food for me.
You supposed to go to food line and bring me. You supposed to bring the host. When you crash people's house, you supposed to at least bring
they ain't tell me
offering
that.
or something.
I ain't heard that
The
part.
disrespect, no respect, y'all. But yeah, so. All right, let's talk about, I think that a lot of people, you mentioned, we were talking about earlier, I think we both had personal experiences with people either actually attempting suicide or discussing suicidal thoughts with us directly and how to deal with that. Like our reaction, the response, like what you go through, because they're dealing with something too. I mean, they're dealing with something, but then that trauma also transfers to you. In my case, especially with like family, close friends, stuff like that, because you deal with it professionally, but there's a lot of people that just have people in their lives that's dealing with that, and they have to go through it. So, what is it? How do you cope with it personally? And how do you tell people who come to you to cope with it, or to deal with those thoughts and deal with people that have those thoughts?
So I was telling you a story about one of my friends who I had known that she was, pretty depressed. She had lost her job. She had lost touch with her family for various reasons. And so she kind of felt like she was in this world alone. And I was on my way from one of my evening jobs. I was working on Capitol Hill, and we were on the phone, and I'm talking to her. I'm driving on 495, and she was, just talking and saying, I was like, how's things going? Because I knew that she was really in a bad place, I made certain to just reach out to her more often than normal. And there's this, you see all these things floating around on Facebook, check on your strong friend, check on your weak friend, just check on your friends, period, which I think is important.
Right.
And so because I knew that she was not in a good space, I made sure, let me just reach out to her today. Whenever she came across my mind, it's like, let me call her, let me make sure she's all right. And this particular time I called her, and she told me that she had basically just attempted to take her life. And she was saying that she tried to hang herself in the bathroom, but the belt broke. And I'm listening to this, and I'm like, wait a minute. Like, what are you telling me? It took just trying to process, it took a minute, and then my phone dies. And I'm on the highway trying to get home, and I'm like, oh my goodness, so I'm praying as I'm on my way home. I get home, I plug my phone in, I charge it, I call her, and she's not answering. So of course that was very scary for me. I didn't have her address. She lives out of state. And I wasn't, really certain what to do. I'm like, how do I, what do I say to the police when I call and say, I need you to do a safety and wellness check on this person? Where am I going to tell them to go? So I calmed down for a second. I reached out to one of my other friends. She's like, didn't she send you her resume once and things of that nature? And I'm like, she did. So I checked through my Gmail, and I found her resume and was able to reach out to the police in that state. They went to her home, they did a safety and wellness check, and they ended up admitting her into the hospital because she didn't present to them in a way that made them feel like she was safe. So she went to the hospital. She stayed there for a while, had to do some mandatory counseling. And it was a difficult experience. It was difficult to be a part of as a friend because this wasn't a client. This wasn't something that they prepared me for in school. So it was a very personal experience. And we had to kind of deal with some of her being angry, a part of her being angry that she had to go through this because I made this call and kind of interrupted her life in that way, even if I was trying to save her life.
Oh, she was angry at the fact that you intervened?
She was just angry at the situation. I mean, for one, she was already depressed, so she's angry anyway. But she was angry that she, had to stay in the hospital. She was basically on the psych ward. She couldn't have her cell phone. She was angry because she had lost control of her life in that sense. But once she kind of came around a little bit, she did take meds for a while. She ended up eventually getting a job, connecting back with her family. Like, life just kind of turned around. And so, now it's like she's in a good space and, everything worked out. But in the beginning, it was a very tricky situation. It was difficult. And then as her friend to know, hey, I know someone who at times doesn't want to be here and, could very well in any moment decide I'm going to take my life. That's troubling.
Now, did you ever see any signs before that pointed that you like that from your training and just from your observations? Did you ever see anything that showed you or that presented to you that maybe that was a possibility?
So, what I know about suicide for people who have those thoughts is that suicide is always a possibility. Suicide is always an option. And I think that's something that, folks who have never experienced those type of thoughts, I think that's something that they just don't really understand. It's like people assume, okay, this one event happened and that's what made this person decide to become suicidal. Right. And that's usually not how it transpires. Usually people who go through a suicide or make attempts have had these reoccurring thoughts throughout their life. So things could be going fine and they could still have this thought just kind of pop up into their head. And so it's a battle with that thought throughout your lifetime. It doesn't just
pop up one day.
Yeah, it's not just today I decide I'm going to take my life and then you do it.
That's not a knee-jerk reaction.
No, and I think that's the part that people don't necessarily understand and have they feel like, oh, well, even when we talk about Kate Spade, oh, well, she had money or she had this and that. Well, that doesn't take away from the fact that she's battling with this thought or with this feeling for a lifetime. And so I think it's important more to focus on what keeps a person living versus, they took their life, they're selfish, they're this, that, and the other. What are the things that keep people going? I think that's important. And when we talk about friendships and being true friends, I think it's, important to kind of ask those questions, like what makes you live? What makes you happy? Kind of what keeps you going? Like, let's not be surface with people that we say we care about. Like, let's get real with them and have those conversations.
Yeah. Now, I know I'm definitely guilty of always saying, all I got to do is win $1 million
right.
and I'll be straight. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that low key, I got some form of depression or something. And I think my joint is like, I claim I cope with it, but I think it comes out in some kind of different ways. Or the way I cope with it just comes out as somebody who's not, people think I'm cool all the time, right? And I'm really not. People be like, oh, you don't have no emotions and all this shit. And I'm like, nah, I'm mad emotional. I just don't be crying and shit.
Right.
Like, I don't cry, so you'll never see me weeping out in public necessarily, right? You never gonna see me outwardly expressing what I'm sad about or depressed about or whatever. But I'll be sad and depressed like shit.
Right.
But people don't think that because they like, oh, well, somebody sad looks like this.
Right,
or somebody
exactly.
depressed is going to be crying, or they're going to be hurt, or they're going to be recluse or whatever
Right,
it is. You know what I'm
right.
saying? But if you somebody that's like, I'm talking shit on Facebook every day, Cornbread can't be depressed because he always popping shit, talking
Right.
shit on Facebook. Like, my thing is, like you said, you need to check on people and kind of drill down a little bit more than the surface. But sometimes it's hard because I know like some people are closed off. Some people are introverts and they won't share or aren't comfortable sharing or don't like somebody like me. I feel like people, why? Like, why would I tell you? You can't help me.
Right.
You gonna give me $1 million or now?
Right.
Right.
But
and
see,
and
that's
that's the thing. Like with Kate Spade, I was like, damn, shawty. Like you would think she was like the model of the quote unquote American dream, entrepreneur, starting own business, fairly successful, all this stuff. But shit.
Right. And I think, I think that's an important part of the conversation that both Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain's death brought about, because even when I think of Anthony, it's like, oh, he's all around the world. Like he's living my entire best life. You know what I mean? Traveling, eating food, chilling with the president. Like, we have this idea that, things or money or people, all these things bring about happiness. And when you're struggling with depression, that stuff does not matter. It doesn't matter. And so, depression doesn't have a face. It looks like all of us. And so you can't really, say, oh, well, if they're sad, then that equals this. If they're happy, then that means they're okay. It doesn't mean that. So I think it's important. If you care about a person, you check in on them, you pick up the phone. It's not always oh, well, I saw them on social media the other day. No, like get back to picking up the phone, hearing somebody's voice. Like I
just be sending bit emojis. I'm really good. I gotta put my life together.
Right. But pick up the phone, like, and just call. And people are like, oh, we're so busy. You're not that busy. If you care about me, you're gonna pick up the phone and check on me. And I think that's important. And I think, the idea that we don't have time to do that, or we all out here living our lives. Like that's what you hear kind of people saying, we don't have time. Then you don't care about me. And that's okay. But, let me know that so I can get a circle of folks who do care about me and would check on me.
Yeah, man. So like, for instance, in that situation that you described earlier with your friend, did any of your training, did you like go through any of your training steps with yourself? And like how to deal with it, like when it happened, were you like, okay, Neena, like do this according to like the whatever y'all use, like the intake sheet or what, I don't know what it is. Like, did you go through that with yourself?
So the first thing I had to do was to calm down. So that was a part of just, some of, when we talk about self-talk or whatever, kind of getting yourself in a position to take action. So I had to get out of the hysteria of my phone died, she's not answering. I had to kind of get out of that hysteria and think, okay, who else can help me in this situation? Who else is kind of has a calmer head, which meant calling another friend and that's the person who suggested, oh, didn't she send you her resume? Because I wasn't thinking about that in any way. I was just like, oh my goodness, I don't know how to reach her. I don't know her address. I don't know her sister's number. I don't know. Like I'm just, kind of going through all those things in my head. So it was calm down. That was kind of the first thing, calm down. And I knew I need to reach out to the police. I knew from training, safety and wellness check, those type of things. But initially it was get to a space where you can take action and not be hysterical and not be so scared and so worried, but that you can help a person.
Now, do you think, I know with the Kate Spade situation, I think that they came out with, they had somebody in her family was like, yo, we basically expected this almost.
Her sister.
Right? Like, and that's a crazy thing because even with people that like I have family members that I know are suicidal, right? It's like, what can you really do? Because you don't, like, I don't know what the triggers are, right? I think that's a big thing. I know with me, when I've been involved with stuff like that, I'm like, well, shit, I don't even know what to look out for necessarily, because people who are in those spaces, it's not like a logical thing that somebody outside, in my opinion, would be able to follow. Like, I can't be like, oh, okay, well, this happened, that happened, so that means they're depressed or whatever, because it could be something that to you wouldn't be a trigger, right? It might not be something that anybody can recognize on the surface that would say, you know what, that's a red flag, that's an alert, I need to like kind of follow up on that.
So I don't want people to walk away feeling like I got to be somebody's therapist, or I got to turn into this mental health person that I'm not, because that's not everybody's calling, that's not your lane, and that's okay.
Right.
So what I think is important is that you recognize, hey, I see that this person is struggling. I may not be the person that can help them get to a better space, but I can connect them. I can make that connection. I can reach out to my friend that's a therapist and ask, hey, what can I do for this person? Hey, what are some resources? We see on Facebook and social media the suicide prevention number floating around, things of that nature. Sometimes it's just a matter of connecting a person, or even saying, hey, I know you're going through something. I may not be able to help you, but I can sit in a session with you. I can I mean? I can be present, tell me how you need me to help you. And, not really taking no for an answer when you're really concerned. When you have that red flag about a person, you don't just let them brush you off. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you have to become a pest and every day you're in their ear, but you don't take no for an answer. You say, no, like, hey, how you doing today? Can we, do you want to go do this? Or do you want to go for a walk? Do you want to make that phone call? Do you want me to dial the number for you? You allow yourself to be another resource for them. And you let them know, like, I care about you enough to not let this go.
True. Lord, yeah. It's just so hard because I be like, man, like, I feel bad for people who are in that space. Like I said, I think I cope with stuff in my head fairly well. Like, I think I cope well. And I think I'm a logical person. But I think that sometimes when I talk to people who are depressed, like clinically diagnosed as depressed, and on meds and on this stuff, it's like, you can't relate. To me, it's like you can't relate to what they're going through. It's like to me, it's like a whole parallel universe. And I'll be like, we both looking at this wall, and I see, my foundation cracking, right? That little line is my foundation cracking. But to you, the house already fell down. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, well, like, I can't. It's like, how do I even plug into that? And I feel bad. Like, I feel bad for people like that. And I be like, man, like, that must be a terrible situation where you basically fighting in your own head something that nobody else can relate to, and then I feel like you might feel just trapped in with yourself, because you're like, well, if I tell somebody this, they gonna think it's the dumbest shit in the whole wide world. They gonna think it's something menial or just some old, oh girl, don't worry about that, right? But to them, it's extreme to that point.
So I think the thing with that is, most people have been to that space. You know what I mean? Like, most people have experienced a time where this thing has become an extreme thing and someone else might not understand. So just the fact that we've all been there can make that a shared experience. So even if you don't in that moment understand it or see it in the same way that other person has, you can think back to a time where, well, there was a time in my life where such and such happened. Because even though we don't talk about depression and anxiety and those things often, they're very, very common. They're very common things. They're very common in the Black community and in every community. Like I said before, it doesn't race, economic status, none of those things matter. Like, these have become, a normal part of life. So even if you can't relate to that person in that moment, you can certainly reflect back over a time of your life where it's been like, oh, I've felt that level of intensity about something. And so be able to relate in that way and to, just acknowledge, what did I need in that moment, or what would have been helpful for me in that moment. And that's how you can be supportive to that person. You don't have to understand exactly what they're feeling at that time, but you can empathize.
Right. And I think that definitely people need to remove the stigma from it. Even though I think the stigma is diminishing, it's still a stigma. It's still a thing that's, oh, you got to go to a therapist, you must be crazy. Or I don't need to go to a therapist because I'm not crazy.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. People, I think that once people realize that, I had never been to therapy, and I went to therapy a couple of times, and I'm like,
it's like the best thing
it's just
ever.
people talking to people. Like, it's just like you talking it out, and somebody who could offer you these tools to deal with whatever you're doing is the helpful part. Not necessarily they gonna solve your issue.
Right.
I think that I know that's how I was, but I think a lot of people be like, well, what the fuck they gonna do?
Right.
Like, they not gonna. This some motherfucker, some rich person charging me $200, $300 an hour is going. What they gonna do for me? They can't relate to what I'm going through.
Right.
You know
So
what I'm
therapy
saying?
is not please know that your clinician don't have no magic wand. You know what I mean? You're not
Ta-da.
gonna walk into a therapy session and walk out and all life's problems are gonna be solved.
Right.
But it's definitely important and it's good for you. It's good to be able to kind of unburden yourself in that way. Most sessions are about between 45 to 50 minutes and it's amazing how much of a transformation can happen in that time. And really, I tell my clients all the time, we're just kind of laying the stuff out on the table when you come in here. And when you leave is when you really have to do the work. But it's important that you can do that work in an environment that's supportive and around people that are supportive. So that makes this idea that we're trying to destigmatize mental health that much more important, because if I am ready to go and see the therapist and then I'm ready to, tell my friends, hey, I went to therapy today and they're looking at me like I'm crazy, that's going to decrease the chance that I go back because I don't have that supportive group. So it's important that that you celebrate it. Like some of my shirts are like, oh, we're going to celebrate you getting, your mental health together.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah. Well, so what shirts do you got right now? So we'll talk. We'll plug the shirts. My PSATs.
True.
So what's the? I know you got the self-love season shirt.
Yeah, self-love season. And I came up with that shirt. I saw a tee that said, it was cuffing season. That's what the original tee was that I saw. And I was like, we spend a lot of energy trying to get booed up and loving other people and all that stuff. But, what energy do we put into loving ourselves? And that's really, to me, that's kind of the epitome of mental health is the energy you put into loving you. And that's not selfish. That's not, oh, she's stuck up. No, like I got to look out for me. So I think that's important.
And that's not about being conceited. It's about loving yourself.
Absolutely. So self-love season, this tea handle with care.
You got that on right now.
Hey. Yeah, I think that's important, especially kind of in this cyberbully, all that stuff. Like we're not the best to each other. We're just not the best people to each other. We can be cruel, we can just not be the best folks to each other. And I think it's important. You don't know who you're dealing with. You don't know what that person in front of you has gone through. You just don't know. So, in kind of the mental health world, we call it like being trauma informed, because you don't know what this person has dealt with. So you don't want to push somebody's buttons. You don't want to, be insensitive to people. So handle people with care, because for one, that's how you would want to be handled, I would hope, or I would imagine. And for two, you don't know what has happened to that person in their life. You don't know where they are in their head. So be careful with them.
Be careful. Ain't that what Cardi B said?
Yeah, a little Cardi B plug.
Ain't that what Cardi B said?
Yeah, that's one of her songs. She ain't say it like that.
Oh, I don't know what she said.
Okay.
But I know she was threatening motherfuckers. That's all I know.
It was a warning.
Right. I'm like, man, Cardi B out here threatening motherfuckers.
But
be careful.
But really, like, be careful with the person, because again, you don't know. You have no idea. That person could, like you said, be sitting right in front of you and be the happiest person. They could be online doing all these jokes, this and that, and you have no idea what their thoughts are.
Right. And I think that's why it's always a shock. It's kind of like when you see crime in areas and everybody's always like, this never happens around here.
Right.
And it's like, well, shit, well, it did. Well, clearly it does, because it just happened. And I think it just, I don't know, man. That jump, it's real sad. And I think that people definitely need to start just owning the fact that they are fragile. I think that's part of it, too. The handle with care thing. I think it's just some people don't think that they're as fragile as they are. And they think that them being stone-faced or cold and petty and all kinds of stuff like that, when they lashing out at people or either lashing out or shutting down, I think that people think that, oh, well, that's them, fighting that fragility. That's the word. Is fragility a word?
Yeah, sure.
Today is going to be how y'all feel.
Georgetown Day School
Georgetown
education.
Day. And I'm talking about Hoppers Unite. But yeah, so I think that sometimes people just you know, some people are in denial about their own situation, how sensitive they are themselves, and so, you know, they fight it off and they don't let people in, and then you got other people who don't push. I know I don't push. I know I'm a bad pusher, but once I realized that close people in my family were affected by that, I had to be like, all right, I'll push more than I normally would.
Right.
And I probably still don't push enough, but
Right.
I be trying.
Well, you know I'm a pusher. I'll pick up the phone. What you doing? How you living? What's going on in your life?
Yeah. Neena is definitely a pusher. She harasses me.
Hey, man, that's because I love you. I care about you. And that's what friends are supposed
I be
to
like,
do.
man, I got it, man. I got it. Leave me alone. Oh, go call all these people. She gonna send me a whole list of people, and then the website was down.
Listen.
So look, hold on. Let me tell y'all a story. So I was like, Neena, I need to get this therapist, dog. Like, I need to get this therapist, y'all. Like, but I want a man. I want a man and a black man. That's what I wanted, because I think that, you know, this is my personal opinion for myself. I felt a black man would be advantageous for me.
Right. Representation matters.
Right. Because I don't want to go talk to some 22-year-old joint or 25-year-old chick that went to like goddamn whatever. I don't want
someone
right.
that looked like you.
I want somebody like me, right? Whatever could relate to some of the stuff anyway, or in my head could relate. He might not be. We probably don't have none of the same experience, but whatever, make me feel better. Anyway.
That whatever helps you get in the door.
Right. So I go. I said, Neena, send me the jump. So she sent me the link. I go on the link, call these people. I call 3 people.
This is bad advertisement.
No, listen. I called 3 people, right? Let me tell y'all, hey, no. Till this day, that was, what year is this? 2018? That was 2016. Ain't nobody called me back.
But
I said, I'm glad I'm not, because they call it an episode, whatever, right? I'm like, I'm glad I'm not, like, I don't have a real live, like, episode, because
well, that
then I was like, the people who
time out,
I said, hold on, the people who depressed, then I got double depressed. I'm like, even these motherfuckers don't care about me.
Time out.
Even the doctors who's supposed to care about me don't care about my ass.
Time out, because this is going left. No, that was part of that was because of your insurance. Let's be clear. Some of that had to do with your insurance. You couldn't see this person and that person. But the point is, reach out and keep reaching out.
But
and if this number doesn't work,
that was real life. So keep calling though.
Yeah, because sometimes that does happen. You know, sometimes you try and it's like, dang it, I'm on my last string here and this isn't working. But keep trying, because tomorrow could be a totally different day. And that's that's kind of what my friend has experienced. Like life, if you hold on, life will kind of turn around for you, and you gotta keep fighting to see what the next day is like.
How long was that transformation for your friend? Like, so from the time where she said she was in the bathroom with the belt to the time where she basically kind of got back on track, like how long was that process?
I would say maybe about 2 to 3 months or so, because shortly after she got released from the hospital, her mood kind of got stabilized, and then she got a call about a job, and that really kind of changed what her immediate situation was like. So that was helpful. That helped to lift her mood. And then she got a job where she was able to travel, which was good too, kind of get her out of the small town that she was in. So things just really turned around for her fairly quickly. And for some folks, you know, it may take longer than that. You may have to hold on a little bit longer. But again, you gotta fight to see what the next day is like, because life is, you know, that's just kind of life. It happens in that way, but it will turn around, but you just have to be present to see it.
How much do you think meds play in it? Like, how often are you able to prescribe meds with your license?
No.
Now,
so a psychiatrist can prescribe medication.
And you're a
clinical therapist.
Clinical therapist. You know, I know you got 73 degrees.
True. And a Sally Mae bill.
And a Sally Mae bill to hold that down. Oh no, they call it Navient now.
Well,
right?
Whoever, somebody keep calling.
Navient out of line. They better get out of my face. I know it. I'd have been on the same payment plan since 2004. I said, I got this low income. Don't come for me, dog.
Right.
I ain't switched it either. Fuck Navient. But anyway, hold hold on. So give me the breakdown of what's the difference. So you're a clinical therapist.
Yes. So I can see clients, do diagnosis, but I cannot prescribe medication.
So what's the difference between a clinical therapist, a psychologist, and a psychiatrist?
So the psychiatrist is the one who can prescribe the medication.
The psychiatrist.
Yes.
And why can they prescribe? What's the difference between them and you?
Whatever their little degree says.
Why? Oh, why gotta be that little petty ass?
So,
Oh, y'all got the same? Do y'all have the same training, the same general training?
essentially, to be able to sit with a person and help them work through their stuff is really what our role is across the board.
Okay.
That's my take on it.
Hold on, wait. I got some kind of drama going on.
Is that supposed to be the interlude?
That's supposed to be the outro because we've been running our mouth on here. I'm sorry
Dang.
about that. We at 35 minutes. Okay. It's okay. Though. It's fine. You know. I was trying to cut down my shows because Mother Steppers was complaining. Like, why it's so long? I'm like, man, y'all attention man fucked up. This joke was 43 minutes. Y'all dying.
Right.
Well, actually, I did have a long one on the Cuba joint, but everybody liked the Cuba one.
Man, Cuba was popping.
And the one after that, it was long too because I skipped. I was out of town, and then I had skipped a week, so I was like trying to give more show because I skipped a week. So I was like, I thought I was doing a good deed. Motherfuckers in here complaining. You can't please these people. But hold on, we got distracted by the arbitrary music little intro. So you said, fuck that little petty ass psychiatrist degree.
You were moving in the direction of asking me about medication.
Right. So I was just because I know like some of my family members, they got bags of medication. Mm-hmm. And it don't be seeming like it necessarily help. I be like, they might need
to up their dosage.
They might need to up the dosage or give me a different one or something. You know what I'm saying? And then they got certain people, they'll switch the medication just to switch it. Like, oh, see how you can respond to this one over here instead of the one you want. Like, if that's the one that worked, just leave them on that shit.
Right. So, like I said, I don't prescribe medication, and I'm kind of on the fence, even if in terms of being an advocate for medication. Now, there are people that are extremely depressed or have extreme anxiety that you just absolutely need medication in order to lift your mood a little bit. And I think that that's important, and I encourage people to do that. But I also think, for me, like I deal with bouts of depression often, and one of the ways to kind of minimize that is to work out, to eat, to make sure I get sunshine, to do those things, to make sure I'm laughing and hanging with friends and things like that. So I think it's important too to recognize, what does your body respond to. And
my body respond to
don't say no cupcakes.
Lemon ice pound cake from Starbucks. You know what I'm talking about.
That's what you done told yourself. You sweet dependent.
And those chocolate chip muffins upstairs.
Don't go throw all them muffins out when I leave here. But no, really, like figuring out what works for me. And I think if you can shift your mood by doing simple things like eating properly or working out, then do that. But if you also recognize, hey, I'm still struggling, then get the medication and lift your mood and get to a space where you can do it naturally.
True. And so with your earthy chick, because you call yourself an earthy chick, right? So
hey.
Do you use any kind of earthy stuff like aromatherapy or any of that kind of stuff? Like, am I going, incense and flying carpets and shit like that?
Nah, I don't do that.
You sit Indian style smoking?
Nah, I don't do
Not
that.
smoking,
But
what you
like,
do?
I do so yesterday it rained a whole lot. So I'll like raise my windows up so I can kind of just be in peace and hear the rain. And one of my friends hit me, he was like, is the rain blowing your life? I was like, are you kidding me? Like, it's giving me life.
Yeah, see, I hate the rain.
Yeah, like I love the rain. I love when I can sitting by the beach, sitting in, standing in the middle of the ocean. Like those things center me. And again, but knowing what that is. So for me, that's what it looks like. For somebody else, you talk about me walking around barefoot all the time. Like that grounds me.
Like literally. I'd be like, hey, put on some shoes, goddamn.
Right. So, figuring out like what works for you, what gets you to a good space. I think that's important. And that's what self-love really is about. Having that knowledge of what works.
Right. Ah, yeah, man. Sheesh. So I think overall we gonna say, basically, become one with it. Become one with whatever it is that you're going through.
Acknowledge it.
Acknowledge it. Oh, do you got a mantra? Is there like a therapy mantra? Like
I don't have a mantra.
Acknowledge it. Try to figure out.
We can make one right now.
Find out what makes you happy. Do that shit.
Right.
Whatever it is, except for killing people.
Right.
Don't kill nobody.
Yeah, don't hurt nobody, please.
And don't steal. I don't like thieves. Thieves are irritating as fuck.
How we get a thief in mental health? But okay.
Don't steal. Like if that make you feel better about life, don't steal because they
don't steal in general.
They broke into my car down there.
Oh, right.
I ain't gonna go through that right now.
Somebody broke into my car, stole my pistachios.
See what I'm trying to tell you?
Trying to be on my health kick living my life.
Yeah, you trying to deal with, you trying to get your mental health together now. They fucking that up. So don't steal. Nobody don't steal. Don't steal. Don't kill. But whatever else you want to do that shit.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? Unless you got diabetes like Cousin Cornbread. And they gonna try to hate on your sweet tooth life.
I'm throwing all them cupcakes
hey,
on
I'ma
the
still
trash.
eat it though. If the Lord wants me to go out early, fuck it. Shit. I'm so tired. I'm too old for all this shit, man.
Lord.
But yeah, I mean, so other things. So we're gonna just go ahead and make a little skirt transition. You know what I'm saying? Because we talked about that. And a lot of people's mental health was improved this past week with the in sports. In Washington D.C.
Transition.
Yeah, in Washington D.C. with the Washington Capitals hockey team.
Hey, go over.
Finally winning in their whole existence.
40 some odd years.
Yeah, right. And what I said was, this was the direct result of gentrification.
Lord.
Well, the what you call the word, like the rapid and increased gentrification in DC. So it used to be Chocolate City, like up until probably 2008. I think it probably when the chocolate drained out.
Well, it was no longer the majority.
Yeah, it ain't been chocolate. It's probably since like 2008. But the whole point is, I was like, yo, the Caps won? Because they always would get to the playoffs. And the Pittsburgh Penguins would knock them out every single year, right? But this year, not only did they beat the Penguins, how you gonna just make it past the first round and now you done won the whole damn championship? That's crazy.
The whole thing.
So all caps. That's the joint. Hashtag all caps. Go Caps.
Yeah, Caps locked it in.
And I was happy that the black dude. There's a black dude, and I didn't even know we had a black dude because I used to.
Smith.
Yeah, what's his name?
No, Smith Pelly.
Petty. What? No, Pelly Smith.
That's what I said the first.
It's either Pelly Smith or Smith Pelly, whatever his name is. It's the only black one on the team. I think it's only one.
No, it's two on
Oh, is it two?
Yeah.
But I know back in the day when we was in high school, there was a black one on the team, and I was so excited about it. I was like, oh shit, I didn't even know black people play hockey at that point in my life. Then I moved to Boston, and my whole school, all the black people play hockey. I was like, oh, okay, guess that makes sense.
Yeah, Smith Pelly.
Smith Pelly.
Put some respect on
Yeah,
his
put some
name.
respect on his name. But yeah, so everybody's excited about that, and you were telling me a story about how Ovechkin is doing what? Ovechkin, what they doing down there?
Man, they down in they were down in Georgetown swimming in the little pond with the cup doing backstrokes. He was out there shirtless, like he was just living his whole best life in the Georgetown pond.
That video was crazy. Alex Ovechkin, who's the main player, been around here for years at this point. Ain't never won nothing, but he was always considered one of the best players in the NHL. He had all this praise. He Russian, right?
Yeah.
And shout out to Trump. And
Trump shouted him out earlier. The only one on the team, he shouted him out. Go figure.
Yeah, he down that joint shirtless. I heard he was drinking beer out the jump, doing keg stands with the cup.
He been partying since Vegas. He just been.
He been lit.
Yeah.
And the crazy joint is, man, like, I like that stuff. Like, first of all, hockey is lit. If people don't watch hockey, first of all, go to the game first. If you go to a hockey game and you get like feel the hits, like if you go to a hockey game, even if you sit a little bit ways away from it, not down on the ice, but even if you sit, you can still feel those hits because they move fast. It don't look as fast on TV. But that jump, the collisions in that jump, if you like football and hits and all that, you'll love hockey. So if you ain't ever watched it, start watching it now. And then, but then I just figured after I got my LASIK, I could see the puck now. You know what I'm talking about? Because at first Fox had that little beam on the jump. You ever remember that? They had a beam on the puck. So every time the puck moved, it was like a light beam on the jump. Anyway.
Bless you, Lord.
And yeah, I couldn't see that jump for shit. I was like, I don't know where that puck at. Goddamn, it's too small. But yeah, shout out to the Caps, y'all. That's crazy. That like I said. So the whole point is gentrification brought that to the nation's capital because under Mary Berry and them, they wasn't gonna win though. They wasn't gonna win. It was too many black people. They gonna have
a whole parade and stuff on Tuesday.
Okay, I'm going too.
I'm going too.
I'm taking off. I'm going down there. And then, yeah, man, because you got to realize the energy in the Caps building and the energy in the city would never have been that high as it was chocolate. Right?
Black people like it.
But they don't know it. They know. They be like, icing. Fuck. Fuck yeah. It's fucking icing.
Yeah, no, we definitely don't know.
We don't know what icing
part.
is. We don't know what that is.
No, shout out to my boy Dion because he's like all in. He know all the terms, and he's
Dion.
black. I mean, he light skinned, but he's still black.
We don't do colorism more on sex, travel, sports, food, cousin cornbread. I don't support any light skin, dark skin versus shit.
Right.
But I know that y'all average colors do. I don't like that shit. But I know that's the way of the world, and I've accepted it.
No, we not doing colorism. But yeah, no, he has like a whole little crew that's like all
caps.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? I got a bunch of boys that are colored that are in the hockey, and I like hockey too. I just don't follow it because I always be sad when the Caps lose. I be like, they gonna lose. I do. I avoid it. I dropped my Redskins ticket, my season tickets last year.
That was funny. But you should have dropped them a long time ago because they've been sorry.
But they always been sorry. But I like going to the games. But then the Redskins back office just like started. The back office was really the reason. I already know they gonna lose, but it was still fun to go. But then they started fucking on my account. I was like, no. So between the Redskins losing, fucking up my account, then the Nats were the same as the Caps. Every year they go to the playoffs and they lose.
Disappointed.
And they always hype over, all these people, all these motherfuckers, Strasburg and blah, blah, and they lose. Same thing with the Capitals. Everybody, Ovechkin this and Ovechkin that, lose. Goodbye. But now, we got the cup. I'm about to go find Ovechkin down in Georgetown somewhere.
You gonna be in the water, wading in the water with him?
Yeah, I'm right in the water. But that video was funny. He was doing push-ups in that joint.
They got pictures of him in bed with the cup.
In the bed.
Sleep, waking up with the cup. He
living his best life.
He hasn't put that thing down.
I ain't mad at him. I'm not mad at him. But he's been, at least 12, 15, something like it was been like a long time.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah. So that's good. So that's made some people happier. You know what I'm saying? The DC area. You know what I'm talking about? And, the other thing that's been in the news as far as sports has been your man's. Your man.
First of all, he's not my man. Maybe
LeBron
he's your
James.
audience man.
Yeah. And people call him King James, and I call him Knight James. So I downgraded him from a king to a knight.
Disrespect.
Because I think because I use like chess pieces, right? So I'm like, man, he's good. He's on the back line of the chessboard, okay? But he ain't the king. He ain't the bishop either, right? Because he be slumming. He just be slumming in the finals, and he gets to the finals. Nobody can take away none of the rest of this shit. But people will act like he's the king, but you can't be the king and get swept at your own house. You can't. I don't care what happened. You got to at least win one, dog. I don't care if you playing with people from &1 street basketball team. You got to get one jump. If you don't win this whole season through the playoffs, you winning. So what's the difference between your team now and the one that swept Toronto and did all this stuff? I don't get it. They give him all the credit. But they treat it, this is what I said on Facebook, they treat him like God, right? Like, when you talk about God, it's always positive. God don't do nothing wrong, ever. People get shot in the face, that wasn't God, that was the devil. He's like, wait, let's run this back. So God is omnipotent and everything, correct? Yes. So God is responsible for getting shot in the face, correct?
You're not about to have me
No.
going to getting struck by lightning on my way home.
You see?
Knight James did not do well in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Correct.
Knight James, Princess James. He everything but the king. So they could choose another title for him. But I think Knight is a good one. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody else had to approve him. I think ESPN made him a knight.
They had a ceremony.
They had a ceremony. Like, we're gonna crown you. We're gonna knight you. We're gonna make you the most important person in the world, even though you be losing. And Lord have mercy, him and his jorts set that he wore to the press conference.
Yo.
And his bad bitch bag. I was like, oh, he a bad bitch. Yes.
He put them shades on and grabbed that Merce.
Hey, Sean, he grabbed his was that a Birkin bag? It was really
$45,000 bag.
for no reason. I don't care. Let me tell y'all something. If I ever have millions of dollars, I don't care how much money I have, I will never pay for anything. Like a bag, 45 stacks. Nah, it's crazy. Even if I had a personal shopper, they bought me a 40. Take that shit back. Y'all go to Marshalls. Take your ass to Marshalls or TJ Maxx or Burlington and give me a regular ass duffel bag, okay? I'm putting my drawers and some tennis shoes in here. You understand me? Fuck out of here, $40,000 bag. Wasteful like shit. Give me $39,000 of that. I'll give you $1,000 bag. How about that? It worked just as well. 2 straps on that bitch.
I wonder what he had in the bag because it wasn't big enough for sneakers or nothing.
He had bad bitch appliances in there. He had
Some Mac.
he has a Mac. He had some blending brushes.
His sunglasses.
His sunglasses, because you know he probably had his little spray for his hairline, because his hairline come back and forth every week. One week he got a hairline, next week he don't. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah. He had Beijing in there.
Yeah, he got the Beijing in there, exactly. He had that Beijing in that bag, man. But yeah, so Knight James, Queen James, Princess James took that L sweep. I didn't think they were gonna get sweep though, because I always think the NBA. I always think that the sports are conspiracies, right? I think it's all set up.
You think everything's a conspiracy,
But it be true.
Everything's a scam in your
Everything
world.
is a scam. They that. Like, how the hell LeBron James go through the whole season? They wasn't even first. Were they like barely made it to the playoffs. And then he gonna sweep the first team, all this stuff. But then I'm like, man, like they gonna have to give him one. I thought the league wanted some more revenue. That's how I always look at it. It's just revenue. Just like Tom Brady in NFL. Tom Brady, they always claim he got the worst team of receivers ever, but he always in the Super Bowl, right? Same shit. Brady and LeBron. I don't know, man. I don't know. Shit. So that was good. I was happy about that because I can't stand lay flop. Because all he do is flop and whine, lay flop. I call him all kinds of shit besides his real name. Because he bothers me. I want him to be a bully, but I talked about that before. I gonna get into it, man. And yeah. So Neena came over here and drank my wine.
It was delicious. Thank you.
Yeah, it's good too. Shout out to Potomac Point Winery. You know what I'm saying? That's where that.
Can we get a sponsorship?
I don't know. We're gonna try. You're gonna try. Cause that joint she drinking, that joint $25 a bottle.
Oh, you ain't tell me that.
I know.
That's why you looked at me crazy
That's
when
why She poured the whole rest of the bottle in that joint like she living her best life.
My bad.
She was living that LeBron yes bitch life.
No, it is good though.
Yeah, that joint is good, man. But and you know, so originally I said I was gonna go ahead and talk about wine varietals and all that stuff on this episode. And I'm gonna touch on it real quick. You know what I'm saying? I talked about this at the show 2 weeks ago that Neena actually was at that show over in the audience, even though she should have been performing. Because y'all don't know that Neena is a retired comedian, and her career was one show long. I got her whole career on tape. Or
yes.
What'd you call it? I guess it ain't a tape no more. Whatever. I recorded. I got it on video.
But to be clear, because I don't want people to think I retired because I sucked, because I was funny.
I agree.
Okay. So I just want to put that out there.
Nah. We just said you retired. I mean,
okay.
Your anxiety. Take another sip because your anxiety just got high a little bit right there. Ain't nobody say you suck.
I just, people be like, oh, well, why'd you click? Did you bomb? No, I didn't bomb. I was good. Thank you very much.
Make sure
Shout
y'all
out to Eddie.
Shout out to Eddie Bryant. You know what I'm saying? Eddie Bryant Comedy. Go on his website. Funny dude. And but I'm gonna tell you right now, man, Eddie will tell you a funny joke about a deer in Southeast. So make sure y'all look out for that joke. Eddie, if you listening, make sure you tell everybody that joke, because the joke is funny, man. But but yeah, man. One thing I told them, I'm gonna just real quick. One thing I told people at the show, man, is that people think when you drinking Moscato, you drinking Sauvignon Blanc, you drinking Merlot, all that stuff. All of that stuff is based on the old wine naming nomenclature, right? So like in the old wines, they name it by the wine region, right? So Bordeaux is from Bordeaux, Francais. You know what I'm talking about. Hold on, do you speak French?
Un peu. No, is that right?
It's un peu.
I said un peu.
Un peu.
I be mixing my French and my Spanish up a little bit.
Hey, yeah. You speak Spanish. Not French and Spanish.
Wait, what's a little bit?
Come on. All right, you think about that. So look, so Bordeaux is a region in France. You know, that's where the Bordeaux wine comes from. And then, like I talked about Champagne has to be from Champagne, France, in order for them to technically use the name Champagne on the bottle. Other than that, they got to call it sparkling wine, especially in the States. So I think it was like a date. Let me see if I got the date in 2006. So anything before 2006 that had the name Champagne on it, that had a license from the European Union, they could still use it. After 2006. You couldn't use Champagne on your joint no more unless you paid like all these licensing fees to Champagne's, like the town of Champagne or the province or whatever of Champagne, which is crazy.
I mean, hey, everybody trying to get their money.
Yeah, but it seemed like it's kind of petty.
You need to send them a shirt.
Yeah, I'm sending them a petty shirt. Y'all go on Cornbread's Closet, get y'all a petty shirt, man. But so one thing, they actually have this stuff in laws all across the United States. Each state has their own law about how to get champagne or how to get the use of champagne, the name on your bottle. And it's like monitored. They go around to the liquor store, like the alcohol board or whatever. Like they all really dead ass monitor this shit. And this is what we spend our taxes on, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, people getting shot in the face. People is mass school shootings. Education, people can't read. This generation, they can't read. That's what I call all the new people. Like everybody under like 25, maybe 21. A little bit lower.
Maybe 27.
So everybody under 25 is in generation now, because they don't know what the hell's going on. You be like, what are you doing? And they tell you they do. You be like, oh hell no. Hell no. That's why they generation now.
No, you shouted out 21 Savage today.
But yeah, 21 Savage.
Is he 21?
I don't know what's going on with his life, honestly.
Okay.
But he actually made a good point about, he stopped wearing jewelry now, supposedly, because he doesn't, he said everybody who he's met that was being really rich, somebody he considered mega rich, they never had on jewelry. Meanwhile, all these rappers and all this stuff got on all these chains and talk about all this money and rings and diamonds and all this shit. And we know, me and you know that that's all fluff and phony shit.
Right.
A lot of people do. But a lot of people don't. They really consider, like my life goal is to get a chain. You be like, for real? But like to people who don't know stuff, or people who are unexposed, those material things like that, as goofy as a chain, is what their goal is. Like, yeah, I got a chain. No matter. And if you think about it, it's
literally... Is that going to be a rap? Yeah, I got a chain.
Yeah, I got a chain.
For your brain.
Yeah. And you be like, yo, like, that's not real life. I see all these little new rappers come out, and they be stunting on the gram or whatever, and they be showing their little chains. Because they start out with like a little teeny chain that got a couple of little diamond dust or whatever in it, right? And And then you be like, yo, but they real live excited about that chain. And it really it literally can't be any more insignificant, right? It can't get any more insignificant than a chain. That somebody literally gonna snatch off your neck, punch you in the face,
live, man.
or shoot you over a little raggedy ass chain. And then you don't even really got no money in real life. Because we all know record labels are scams at this point, right? Most people do anyway.
Right.
But they real life be living for that chain, shawty. Like a chain. Like, just think about that shit.
A whole chain.
A whole, like, you do your whole life and you walking around like, man, you know, it's gonna be that day, man, when I get this chain on these. When I step out here with this chain on this, man. And then the chain don't never be cute. It's always like a big, just gaudy, ridiculous thing, dinner plate on their neck. You know what I'm talking about?
Bless their little hearts.
But yeah, man, we gonna let y'all go, man. We appreciate y'all listening. I ran over my normal time. We a little bit over an hour, but I think we had a good conversation.
Yeah.
About mental health awareness, suicide awareness. Check on your people. And one thing I started doing personally is every week. Right, I'm not consistent, but I tried to be. Every week, write down 3 things, either at the beginning or the end of the week or whatever, that you were excited about, that you accomplished or that happened that were positive things.
Okay.
Because sometimes I know I'm guilty of it. I just I do shit, and I don't appreciate my own accomplishments, my own positive things or impact or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing I do personally, or I try to do personally, to help me when I be like, yo, I ain't shit. Mm-hmm. I'm sad. I ain't gonna never be shit. Fuck it. Eat this Cinnabon, go to sleep, hope I die.
Lord have mercy. No, that's a good strategy.
Yeah. So y'all start doing that if you want to incorporate that. And, find some tools. Do you have any websites or anything like that where people could go, or numbers or anything like that where people can go? Yeah,
definitely. So I want to leave with you guys the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number, which is 1-800-273-8255. If you're looking for a therapist in your area, you can go to psychologytoday.com. All you have to do is enter in your zip code, and therapists in your area will pop up. It'll give you, what type of insurance they take, what they specialize in, and at the bare minimum, if you're struggling, reach out to someone. And that doesn't matter who they are, but let someone know that you're having a hard time so that they can help you. Because tomorrow is a better day. Tomorrow can always be a better day, but you have to be present in order to witness it.
True story. We appreciate Miss Gina.
Thank you for having me. Thank
Crashing
you for
the
letting
podcast.
Me crash. Hey.
Special episode, Crash the Podcast with Cousin Cornbread, man.
I'll be back. Get some cheese.
Lord Jesus. Somebody bring some cheese over here, man. She think I'm going to set her out a platter.
Yeah, man. I mean, hey.
She still owe me grapes and all kinds of stuff from all my free services I gave her for the t-shirt line, So.
Man.
I think I modeled at least 17 of them t-shirts.
I mean, that's what you're supposed to do, though.
Yeah, man. So y'all go check her joint out, My PSATs, all spelled properly. Okay, yes. MyPSATs.com. Get you some self-love shirts.
Yeah, and My PSATs on Instagram.
On Instagram, you know what I'm talking about. And y'all know your boy, Cousin Cornbread, on everything, all social media. And Cornbread's Closet is linked on there, too. I got like 3 designs up right now. Go check those out. If y'all feel like buying one. Get one for your friends, your family, whoever y'all think is petty. Send them one in the mail with no return label on it.
Yeah, I need that joint for Trump. I need to get one of them for
There's
him
a lot of people
today.
that need that petty shirt for real.
Mailing it today.
Yeah. But yeah, man, we're gonna get out of here. Episode number 13. I appreciate y'all listening. We'll be back next week. Every week I get on here, man. So if you ain't caught up, like I said, make sure you go catch up. A lot of the people be hitting me up talking about, oh yeah, I just finished listening to episode 6. That joke was funny as shit. I'm like, God damn, you on 6? Why you still on 6? You got a couple hours. You go ahead and put in some work. But I appreciate everybody for listening, man, again. And we out. Hope y'all have a good day. And as usual, I'm going to leave y'all with my 3 things, man. The 3 cornbread. You know the 3 keys of life by cornbread? Do you know that? No, you don't know.
I do. You don't. You gonna ask me after 2 glasses of wine? Something about
so look, number 1.
Black dollars matter.
Nah, man. Well, actually, that should be one. But number 1, stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Number 2.
What to start with? We'll let it start
always make a plan, or you'll always work for somebody that does make a plan.
True.
And number 3, don't drink and drive. You might spill some.
Right.
Log out.